This is the Washington Times front page for Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. Wholesale prices at the end of October surged by 8.6% in the last 12 months, the highest year-over-year increase recorded by the federal government since it began tracking the data in 2010. Wholesale prices of apparel, footwear, truck transportation, retail food and alcohol, hospital outpatient care, parts and supplies, machinery, and equipment all surged last month. The report also found that the Core Producer Price Index also surged. Core PPI, which measures price changes in goods and services sold, excluding highly volatile food and energy, rose 6.2% from October 2020. That's also a record since the Labor Department began monitoring the data more than 11 years ago. The Labor Department report is bad news for consumers struggling with sticker shock as prices climb. Jeff Murdoch reports it suggests that high inflation will be around for a while, despite the Biden administration's insistence that it's temporary. A Washington state metallurgist pleaded guilty this week to falsifying hundreds of test records for steel used to produce U.S. Navy submarines. Then Wolfgang reports Justice Department prosecutors said Elaine Thomas of Auburn, Washington faked steel strength test results more than 240 times from 1985 through 2017. The 67-year-old oversaw a test designed to ensure that the steel used to fabricate submarine hulls wouldn't fail during a collision and could withstand wartime scenarios at sea. She faces up to 10 years in prison and a $1 million fine. Her sentencing is set for February. Although exact numbers are difficult to track, most officials say approximately 40,000 U.S. military veterans are without permanent safe shelter on an average night. Mike Glenn reports American military veterans haven't been spared by a widening affordability and availability crisis that has left Los Angeles, the District of Columbia, and other cities across the country dealing with a rising number of the homeless. With Veterans Day this week, officials say they're on the lookout for any opportunity to bridge the gap between veterans and the vast majority of the population who never served in uniform. Veterans Affairs Secretary Dennis McDonough says the lack of social bonds to the civilian world can leave veterans feeling isolated and disconnected. A reminder that you can find all these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. Don't have access to the Times yet? Visit WashingtonTimes.com/George and get 25% off your annual subscription. Jeff Murdoch reports a new report says White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is the foreign policy advisor identified in Justice Department Special Counsel John Durham's indictment of Democratic lawyer Michael Sussman. The initial report by Fox News is significant as it's the strongest connection made linking the Clinton campaign, Biden administration, and the spread of the Trump-Russia collusion story. Durham is investigating suspected wrongdoing by the FBI when it was looking into actions by Donald Trump and his associates during the 2016 presidential election. It doesn't appear that Sullivan is a target of the probe. And finally, Sean Salai looks at a report from a free speech advocacy group that questions whether state laws banning critical race theory in schools are chilling free speech. The New York-based nonprofit PEN America reported that 24 state legislatures introduced 54 bills from January through September to ban, quote, divisive concepts such as critical race theory from being taught. The theory is the idea that racism is embedded throughout society and institutions, not just in the acts of individuals. The group says such legislation is a slippery censorious slope that appears designed to chill academic and educational discussions and impose government dictates on teaching and learning. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms just by searching Washington Times. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.